up, guys? Holding Alice with you here, bringing you chapter 305 of the Seven Deadly Sins manga review. This chapter is gonna be very, very controversial. Let's talk about that end, as you see in the thumbnail. Supposedly, is the end of the Holy War. Bond and the Seven Deadly Sins were able to succeed, and they extracted the soul from the body of Meliodas, the Demon King. They extracted it. And Meliodas is there smiling. And they happy and all, and so forth and whatnot. And, okay, what makes this chapter so controversial is them beating the Demon King and knocking him out of Meliodas' body. For me, that's not what really gets me upset. I can actually explain and understand why that happened. What got me upset is the ending text of the chapter. Them saying that this long, hard road is close to its end. And I read that and I'm like, wait a minute. Let's rewind. A couple of chapters back, I'm not sure if it was chapter 300 or 301. It was one of those chapters. You guys can go look it up if you want. But in one of those two chapters, I will actually link a video that I put, because I did my very first tie-dye video on chapter 300 and 301. I did a link video. I will link that down below in my Twitter, so go follow me. But in one of those two chapters, there was a color spread, and there was 3 announcements made on that color page, and one of them was about a popularity poll. Another one was about a special way to win a Deanne keychain. And the other one stated something weird. It stated that the 7 deadly sins, it's basically, the point was that it was not far from over. And there's more to the story to continue. And I'm like, okay, cool, bet. I can start reviewing. Then that's why I got into reviewing the 7 deadly sins, because of that chapter. And that was my first chapter review, chapter 300 and 301. So when I read that, I started doing it on my YouTube. Because I do like the 7 deadly sins. I always thought that it was close to being over, but then when I read that, I was like, okay, cool, I guess they're not, so let me hop on it now. Since it is a manga that I enjoy reading, and I know there's a lot of people who also like reading and watching tie-dye videos. So I did my review on that, so forth, so forth. Now let's rewind, fast forward now, back to the future. Now we got chapter 305 that just came out that I'm reviewing now. And the end stated that we're close to the end of this journey. Now that could mean one of two things. A, it could mean the end close of Tazai. Or it could mean two, this is going to be the end of this Holy War final arc thing. And we're moving on to another chapter. Another arc, per se. Now, I know a lot of people was upset saying, oh, this is a corny way to end the 7 deadly sins. Blah, blah, blah. It's going to be like fairy tales, going to have that bad, horrible Moxina ending and stuff like that. And I'm going to say that's not really true. In fairy tale, that was always one bad thing about fairy tale was their fight scenes. Most of it was lackluster. And not in the first part, because the first part was solid. It was mainly the second part. Towards like the end of the Grand Magic games, all the way to like the end of like the RS arc. A lot of the fight scenes were corny, cheesy, or just straight up power friendship BS, which wasn't really BS like people say it is. They like to call it BS, but it actually is a staple in Mashima War. A cheesy one, but it's a staple. And it's something that we see in all shonen manga. And just fairy tale pushes it a little too much. But the reason why I'm bringing up fairy tale is because that's usually a manga that's in the same magazine, Kodansha Comics, as 7 Deadly Sins. And a lot of people compete them to each other in popularity. But the point I'm saying is because I don't believe this is the end at all. And on top of that, it could be the end, but what I'm trying to say is that I don't believe the way they beat the Demon King and stuff like that. I don't think that was a BS, because was the 10 Commandments that were entered into that body, and they created another half. So there's 2 halves of the Demon King, the one that took over Meliodas' body and the one in Purgatory. Now, just because they couldn't beat the other half that was in Purgatory, doesn't mean they can't beat this one. You gotta remember, in a lot of animes, and it kind of makes logical sense, techniques that allow you to make clones of yourself or multiply yourself usually makes you weaker. You have to divide that power. So the one in Purgatory could be a lot stronger than the Ten Commandment one that fused and made another Demon King and took over Meliodas' body. Remember, that's only half his power, but we're not sure what half that is. And it's not like they beat him in one shot, or one panel at that, or one chapter. We've been fighting him since what, chapter 300? If I'm not mistaken? That's when Meliodas' bodies got taken over? Or 299, somewhere around there? So we had about like 5-6 chapters, I mean, at most. You might say, oh, this is the main villain, it should be more chapters than that. And that I don't agree with, because one, this is Taizai. None of the fights are that long. If you look at every fight in Taizai, they were all way more than like, way less than most mangas. They only took like 2 or 3 chapters at most. I think the longest fight besides this one, if I'm not mistaken, I believe the longest fight besides this one was Lion Sin of Pride Escanor versus Mel when he was still Escavosa. I believe that was like the longest fight in the manga so far. That one or Escanor versus Meliodas. One of those two was like the longest fights. It took like 3 chapters, if I'm not mistaken. And the Demon King one took 5. 2 more. I mean, 7 Deadly Sins, the fights are awesome, but they don't last long. Like other shonen mangas where the main character can be fighting the other villain for like 10-15 chapters and there's nothing but dialogue and backstory, and you know, they don't pull a Naruto. Oh, we're gonna have this fight. Backstory, filler, backstory. Focus on something else, you know, 7 Deadly Sins don't do that. Once they focus on a fight, that's all they focus on. All the story and building for it will either be before or after, which is one of the things that I love and got me intrigued into the 7 Deadly Sins. Because it's straightforward, but it's not too fast or too slow. So, and it doesn't, again, make sense with Ban and the Demon King defeating Meliodas. I mean, Ban and Meliodas defeating the Demon King that was in Meliodas' body. It makes sense. There was only half his power, and we know they both got dramatically stronger coming out of Purgatory. Because Meliodas was no longer just emotions. He was emotion in his original body, and he got stronger from that. Same thing with Ban. Ban coming out as a soul back into his body, not his soul, but coming back from Purgatory with his body, he gained all those experience and years and resistance with his body, so he was more harder now and more better. And since he had to fight the Demon King so many times, his battle sense got heightened by a lot. Especially since he gave up, you know, his immortality with his new skill gift to Elaine. He had no choice but to get more stronger physically and be more aware of his surroundings. So it makes sense these two taking him against the Demon King, which is probably a weaker half of the two. It makes sense they were able to beat it. And again, they struggled. It's not like, you know, they just came out of nowhere and just defeated him and it took like 1 or 2 pages, 1 or 2 panels. It wasn't about that. So people who are complaining about the fight being boring and too short and that it was disappointing, no, it's not, because all the fights in 7 Deadly Sins are short. None of them are that long, really. If you really like take all the panels and like you put them together and take out any extra that might be there, you know, they're not that long. Another thing I wanted to bring up was something about Hawk. This is why, even though I'm kind of angry that they said it's going to be close to its end, why I believe that it doesn't mean the end of the series, just the end of this arc. Because Hawk was asked by Elizabeth, oh, why didn't you come with us to see Meliodas? And he just turned his eyes and looked to the ground and he was like, I don't want to. And Elizabeth was like, give him my weird look, like, why not? And then they cut off from there and they continued to fight the Meliodas with Bond. And they're backing him up and they sit him in like this prison thing. It was like a 3-spell combo. And then Diane knocked it in the air with her spear stone. And Bond followed up by running up that spear, jumping up to the sky where the sphere was at of Meliodas' body, and he came down and he punched it in the gut. And he punched it so hard that we saw the impact Not just break the stone pillar he ran up, but everything else from that punch, you know? So that shows you, again, Bond is extremely powerful. And they were actually able to beat the Demon King out. Then they had to catch him too, which that's how they use that spear to catch him. But again, it makes sense that he was defeated. I mean, these are the good guys, and it was supposed to end this way eventually, so... And again, it makes sense. It's not like there was any ass pulls or anything. So... But, again, what got me upset was that ending part. Hopefully, it's, you know, they mean the end of this arc, not just the whole end of Tazai, because then it's like, why did you say in chapter 300 that it was far from being over? Unless what they meant by that was the original story is going to be over, but there's going to be a whole bunch of side stories that's going to continue. Because I know Nakaba Sensei, the creator of Seven Deadly Sins, did say in an interview that he wants to do something with Arthur after the Seven Deadly Sins. And that's another thing to bring up. What happened to Arthur? We know he can't be dead, because, you know, Nakamura said he wanted to bring him back and show his progress and his story, and do his own little story work. So he has to eventually come back to life. I mean, there's just so many things left unclear and unanswered that Tazai cannot be finished. This Holy War arc thing might be finished. Okay, yeah, sure. Who cares? But there has to be more to the arc. So, but again, that's just my thoughts and opinions. But comment down below what you think of this chapter and what you think about, you know, is this really going to be the end of Tazai, or was the translation messed up and then this is the end of this arc coming? Tell me down below what you expecting if there is more. Tell me what you thought about Hawk and his little situation with Elizabeth and why he didn't want to see Meliodas. But that's all I have for you guys. Please like, comment, share, subscribe. Hit that notification bell. Give this video a like. And peace out and have a good one.